Welcome to Central Georgia Focus. I'm your host today, Raymond Tubb, and we're talking about the 2024 general election. It's right around the corner. Early voting actually starts next month, as a matter of fact. The presidential and other key races on the ballot, of course, make the general election a really big deal this year, both nationally and locally. And today we are sharing what you need to know about casting your ballot right here in Central Georgia. And our guests today are Thomas Gillon with the Macon Bibb County Board of Elections. He's the supervisor there. And we also have Anthony Sallette, who is the new Peach County election supervisor. And let's start off with some important dates that people need to remember. Of course, we've got the general election October 5th. We've got the early in-person voting starts on October the 15th. You've also got some voter registration deadlines, all kinds of things coming up. I guess, Anthony, we'll start with you.
Okay. October 7th will be the last day of voter registration. Like you said earlier, in-person voting start October 15th. We will start mailing out absentee ballots along on October the 7th as well. The 21 days of early voting with the two automatic Saturdays that we got to have following in those weeks coming up.
And with Bibb County?
The same. We are also going to be celebrating National Voter Registration Day, which will be September the 17th. Bibb County has a good record of voter registration, but we can always do better. So if you're not registered, we encourage you to do so.
Okay. And then y'all each have some Saturday voting dates, no Sunday this time around, or do you have a Sunday this time?
Our board votes on that for every election, so we'll see.
Okay, to be determined then.
Yeah, we just have the two early voting Saturdays, the third Saturday and the fourth Saturday.
Of course, it always seems odd to me because there always seems to be more voter participation for the presidential race than some of the local races, even though the local races usually have a much bigger impact on what happens in your life. But this is a presidential race. What kind of turnout are each of you expecting? I mean, Georgia's a battleground state. We're going to get hit with a lot of ads, a lot of interest in this election, especially with the change in candidates and the presidential level that happened so late. So what are you expecting?
Well, down in Peach County, we have 18,000 registered voters in the county. We're anticipating at least 75% of those to come out. So I have 7 precincts. Hopefully we can get a lot more people out for early voting. That way on election day, we won't have as long of a line and wait.
How about Bibb County?
We'll have 31 precincts on election day. We'll have 3 early voting locations. So hopefully we can get a lot of people in to vote. One of our locations, our Macon Mall, will have a separate area just for the elderly and handicapped, so there won't be quite as much of a walk as other folks.
I know people appreciate that, and a place to wait out of the weather there too.
That too.
Use that area for early voting. I guess another incentive to get out early if you're so inclined. Now, Anthony, you are new as election supervisor in Peach County, but you're not new to Peach County.
No, I started working in Peach County at Public Works back in February a couple of years ago, and I just enjoyed the people that I was working with. Shouts out to Mr. Bobby Coward. If it wasn't for him for giving me the opportunity, I really appreciate it.
That's quite a step to take over the elections, and I guess a lot to learn and a lot to take on with that.
Oh, it came very quickly, but I have a magnificent team, along with my election board and the county commissioners. They've been a great supportive team, and we was able to get through everything, the ups, steps, and now we're back looking heads up, getting ready for the general election.
Yeah, in the past, in a lot of counties, the probate judge used to handle the elections a lot. Talk about the changes that led to the creation and getting election supervisors in.
Well, I can't really speak on that because I don't know too much how that came into play.
Yeah.
But I can speak on me stepping in as the election supervisor. We have been dealing more with the community along with the Democratic head, Mr. Ashley Ballot, and the Republican head of the party, Mr. Tim Waters. We all been on one accord together, and we've been working hand in hand with trying to get more community out with more voter outreach and get more registration in to get younger voters to vote more, to get them more involved into the situation.
Of course, Bibb County has had an election supervisor for a long time.
Yes, I've been the supervisor since 2022, interim and then full-time, and worked with the board full-time since 2013.
Okay, and of course we were talking earlier about some of the early voting dates and the different locations, and there have been some location changes made in Bibb County for early voting.
Our office moved since last year. Last July, we moved from the Pinona location, the old Westgate Shopping Center, into the new Macon Mall spaces, and we like that a lot.
And what are some of the other early voting locations that you've got in Bibb County?
We have the Theron Ussery Park, which used to be called North Macon Park over on Wimbish Road, and we have the Elaine Lucas Senior Center down at Central City Park.
Or Carolyn Creighton Park, as it's known.
Carolyn
now,
Creighton
too.
Park.
Still the same initials, though, and keeps it convenient, I guess.
Right.
And in Peach County, where do people need to go if they're interested in voting early?
Well, we will no longer be at the courthouse. We are now at the new government center at the old Peach County High School, located on 902 Campus Road. And then we also have our second place in the Byron Municipal Courthouse on Main Street in Byron as well.
And on election day itself, any precinct changes? I guess we'll start with you, Tom, but we won't want to make you go through all 31 voting precincts, but are any different than what people have seen in the past?
No new locations as of this election. We moved a few things earlier in the year, but everything that was in place in May or June are going to be in place today for this election.
All right, so if you haven't voted since last November, then you need to probably check your voter card just to be sure.
It can't hurt.
All right, very good. And in Peach County, you've got 7 locations, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We did have one precinct change. The Anna Lumpkin Center along the Spruce Street Gym is getting some maintenance done to it, so we moved it to the Thomas Library on Martin Luther King Drive.
Of course, before you can cast a ballot in the polls, there are a few things you need to always bring with you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Please have your identification. Have a driver's license. It makes it a whole lot easier and faster for you to do your checks in. Going straight through, get your ballot. Hopefully you can be in and out within a 5 to 7 minute window span.
Yeah, it's usually a quick process as long as you've got that ID with you.
Yes, sir. Your ID is basically now going over to the new poll pad system. As soon as you scan your ID, all your information pops up. They can get you a voter card, get you straight to the BMD, and you can go on and vote as soon as possible.
It's kind of cool that used to you had to fill out the little piece of paper, but now with the scanner, it'll fill it out for you.
And it's time efficient.
Yeah, definitely can get you in and out in a hurry. Now, with the election, there are a lot of technological changes and stuff with the voters, and also something we hear a lot on voting day. Sometimes people will show up and for whatever reason they are not registered at the precinct where they show up for it, whether they show up for the wrong precinct or there's been an error, and they have to file a provisional ballot. Tom, tell us a little bit about provisional ballots and how they work and what they do for the voter.
Sure, that allows someone to cast a ballot who may not be in the right polling place, as you said. They may not have brought their ID with them, and for a few other reasons. If they're at the wrong polling place, they can vote provisional after 5 o'clock in the evening. Before that time, they have to go to their registered polling place.
And what leads to them having to file that provisional ballot at different times?
It could be that they've moved and our office didn't get the notification of it. It could be that the polling place may have made some changes. We very rarely moved the polling place district or the boundaries, and so that doesn't affect us too often, though.
All right. Well, there are certain people that are eligible to vote, certain people that are not, and we have a graphic that tells us about that. And here it is. Who can vote in Georgia? Well, U.S. citizens can. Felons, if their rights have been restored. And then people who are experiencing homelessness are allowed to vote. Their address could even be a bridge or a park, and or their mailing address can be shelters. So they do have provisions for people that are experiencing homelessness to vote as well. We've got much more. We're just getting started, getting you ready for Election Day of 2024, and we'll have much more. Central Georgia Focus continues. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. I'm your host, Raymond Tubb, and I'm along with Anthony Sallette, the election supervisor in Peach County, and Thomas Gillon, who's the election supervisor in Bibb County. And I may have misspoke when we were going to break. I'm not sure about it. I just want to make it clear, and hopefully you know, general election date, November 5th, if you're voting in person. Tuesday, November the 5th. I may have said October, so I just wanted to be sure we got that right. The 2024 general election, of course, and what you need to know about it is what we're talking about today. And right now, there's a lot of interest in absentee ballots, people going out and registering for them. Of course, in COVID, it became a really big deal. But even to this date, there are more people that are not voting in person or not going for in-person early voting, but are deciding to vote absentee. And so, Anthony, I guess we'll start with you. Talk about what you're seeing in Peach County, because you said you're seeing a lot of interest in it.
Well, in Peach County, you know, we have a more older community, so for the elderly and the disabled, it comes in handy a lot. We also have some military presence, you know, because of the base in Warner Robins as well, so we do a lot of unicavals, and we also have people that stay across seas, like in Mexico and in Italy, so I've done sent ballots all overseas and all as well.
So a lot of military interest, I'm sure, being that close to the base then.
Yes, sir, it is.
And Thomas, what are things looking like in Bibb County?
Very similar. We have some overseas, some, for example, students that are away at college that ask for a ballot so they can vote on the local elections from whatever campus they're on.
And a few weeks ago, the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, did talk about the fact that the system is secure and went in depth about that. How does each of your counties work as far as the drop boxes to collect absentee ballots? And we'll begin with you, Anthony.
Well, we have two locations for our drop boxes. Both of them are at our early voting precincts. They're under camera surveillance at all times, also protected by security at all times. So during the hours of early voting, you are more than welcome to come in yourself to drop off the absentee ballot, to pull into the box. As soon as you put into the box, it drops down. The only person that have a key to those boxes is me as well. So can't nobody else go into it, and you cannot break into them.
Thomas, what about in Bibb County?
Same, we have one absentee box, and it's under cameras and under personal observation at all times when it's open.
And of course, as far as requesting one and getting it by mail, we've had a lot of publicity in the state about some mail problems with the Postal Service. So I would assume if it's something you're interested in, you probably want to file early.
As soon as possible. We started a set of applications on August 19th. Absentee ballot will start going out October 7th. I am so sorry about the mailing system. That is not us. Okay, that is not us at all. But we are getting them out as fast as we can, and hopefully we can receive them back just as fast. You have until November 8th to get the absentee ballots in that can be counted.
And Thomas, what about with Bibb County?
Same. We have to mail the ballots out. By law, they have to go out through the mail system, but you can bring them back in person if you don't want to trust your ballot to the Postal Service.
And there is a way that you can track to make sure that your ballot gets in by Election Day as well, isn't there, through the My Voter page? Or how can people kind of check that out?
Yes, so go to the Secretary of State's My Voter page, and you can do a lot of things there, but you can keep track of whether the ballot has been returned or not. It won't track it through the mail system, but it'll tell you when we've gotten it.
And I guess, let's say I send my absentee ballot back and it's Election Day and I'm checking in and it says, it hadn't gotten there to you all yet. What am I supposed to do at that point?
You got to give us to the November the 8th deadline.
Okay.
By November the 8th, it should be in and we should have it in the system. After that, it's nothing but a phone call to the Secretary of State's office to let them know that you have also mailed in your ballot as well. They will therefore contact us and let us know what to do from there.
Okay.
And if possible, you could also go to your polling place on Election Day and let them, they'll know that you had requested a ballot, and you just tell them that you'd like to have that voided out and vote in person, if that's something that you're capable of doing.
So you can, if you are able to get there on Election Day and it hasn't been accepted yet, they can void out the absentee and you can still vote to make sure that your vote's counted.
Correct.
Correct.
That's something that's good to know, because I know we do get calls from people that have issues with that. And again, with the mail, it's probably a bigger issue this election than it's been in the past as well.
Yeah, we went through it back in the primary in May, but we got all the absentee ballots in by the deadline, which was a good thing. But the mail was running supremely slow, and you know, people call and want to fuss, and I understand your frustration, but again, it is not us. You know, I wish we could move the mail along faster, but
right. You don't drive the mail trucks or sort the mail either, for that matter. Well, a lot of the election workers went through training to making sure the election stays secure and everything. Anthony, what are some of the things that y'all went through that special training recently?
Well, I have a special situation this year. We had a death to one of the candidates, Mr. W.L. Brown, who was our tax commissioner. So I'm hosting a primary along with the general election on November the 5th. So I had to train my poll workers on how to explain to the voters that if you want to vote for tax commissioner, you have to vote as Democrat. That does not mean that you're a Democrat. It's just a Democratic ballot. So you can vote on the Democratic ballot and still receive the full general election. If you do not want to participate, you would click nonpartisan and still get the full general election ballot.
How about with Bibb County?
Same. We have a lot of poll workers for our polling places. We're always looking for more. If you're interested in becoming a poll worker, please get in touch with us and we will be happy to have you. But we train all the poll workers before the elections on all the new laws for the returning people, and we bring all the new poll workers up to speed alongside them.
Now, the State Board of Elections recently, it's actually attracted national news attention and made a number of changes in ballot certification and election certification. And how is that affecting your jobs? I guess we'll start with you.
Well, we follow the laws and the rules that we're given. We can express our opinions amongst the other election officials, but the law is the law, the rules are rules, and we follow them.
Anthony?
Down to a T, you hit it on the head. We have to follow the guidelines. Like you said, we'll voice things between our colleagues, but the state election board we understand what they're trying to do, so we just follow them and follow that by example.
Of course, with the controversy with the election, the presidential race 4 years ago, I know that there were a lot of open records requests coming in to see different things and different ballots and to check stuff, and there's a lot more interest in having people being poll watchers and that kind of thing. I know when we had the House and County elections office in here, they were talking about they had to come up with a whole new system to handle all the open records requests they're getting from all over the country. People are just, they see something in a social media thread and I'm going to file in Houston County or Bibb County or Peach County, Georgia, and see what they're doing there. And are you all still seeing some carryover from that, or has it been a little bit more calm now as far as open records requests and what have you?
Well, I haven't seen that many open record requests from the 2020 election. They have requested records from the 2022 election, which I have seen a number of those, but they're just something to expect. It comes with the job.
How about with you?
True. We've gotten some sporadically, not like it was a few years ago, but the county has a nice website portal to process these open record requests, so it makes it a little bit easier.
So I guess if people want to ask after the 2024 race, which I've got a feeling there probably will be some, with the way politics are going these days, then there are portals and ways to request that easily if they want to.
Yes,
correct.
sir.
All right, well, we're getting you ready for the November 5th general election, and we'll have much more as Central Georgia Focus continues. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus. I'm Raymond Tubb, and we're talking all things election to get you ready for November 5th. And we've got Anthony Sallette, the election supervisor for Peach County, and Thomas Gillon, the election supervisor for Bibb County. And the election, of course, we mentioned it on November 5th, but here's some key dates that you do need to know for the upcoming election. Election day, November 5th. You can register through October 7th, and you can always check things as well on the MVPSOSGA.gov. That's the Georgia Secretary of State site, and they handle the statewide election. And then early voting is starting on October the 15th. And as they mentioned, we do have a couple of Saturday dates, maybe some other days that we'll have to check and see as we get closer to the election. That is in Bibb County. You may add a Sunday day, but we've just got to wait and see if the Board of Elections sets that. But earlier you were talking about the fact that you always need volunteers. A lot of the poll workers in the past, it's traditionally been people that are retirees, but there's a move to get younger people involved, and also people have served in the military, a way to keep serving their country by because at the root, it's one of the most patriotic things you do is helping make sure that the vote happens and happens securely and smoothly for everybody that wants to vote. And you're saying you've got a system where you're getting some high school people even involved.
Yes, Mr. Cedric Swan, our HR man down in Peach County, has set it up for me to talk with the superintendent down in Peach County. We're trying to set it up to where we can get some of the high school students volunteer along with some of the college students, along with Mr. Ashley Ballot. We're trying to get the younger generation more involved in it so they can see the process of the voting system. That way they'll probably be more enthusiastic in coming out to vote. So we're trying to take it step by step, day by day, and I want to get them more involved with the hand-on-hand activity. That way, if they see that firsthand, they'll understand the hard work and the process that it is to make sure that everybody gets their vote in.
And you're saying in Bibb County as well, you always need volunteers.
True. We've used high school students before with very good results from that. I would point out that these are paid positions. You don't get paid a lot, but you do get some spending money out of it. You only have to be 16 to be a poll worker. So we encourage it.
And I've noticed too that it's always a good place to see people that you know, because a lot of times I'll know the poll workers and you can chat with folks and get to meet your neighbors as well while you're out there.
Very true.
Yeah, this year was my first year running an election. With the early voting, I just saw how close-knit and tight that the community was together, from my poll workers, from the people that was coming in to vote, how everybody just seemed like old friends, haven't seen each other in a while. So it seems like a good time for them to engage during the early voting stage. So that's why I encourage everybody to come out and early vote, because then you probably will run into somebody that you haven't seen in a while and y'all can have that conversation you haven't had in a while.
Now, something I'd like to get into a little bit too is how the process works on election night. Because first of all, if somebody's already in line at 7 o'clock and waiting, they still can go on and vote. If there are long lines that day, it may take a little while in some busier precincts and areas. But I know we always have people calling us at like 7:05. Well, what's the vote in Bibb County? What's the vote in Peach County? And it's like, you got to let people finish voting, and then they've got to collect all the data and the cards, and then they can start counting and processing the vote, and that takes time. What kind of timetable are you looking at? I know it's different for each county because, Tom, you have 31 precincts to count. You've got 7, still a lot to get together. So how does the timing work on election night for you all?
Well, the Secretary of State has came up with a new process now, so the early absentees and the in-person voting for early voting, by 7:02, between 7:02 and 7:30 will be the first time that we upload. And you can see the counts as we steady uploading, going through the process. So if you follow us, you can follow us throughout the whole night. You'll probably get your first counts by 7:30, 7:45 p.m. Then as the precincts start coming in, as they start bringing their chips and their data in, and we're uploading as they're coming in. So there's no time to waste. We're not just counting and holding on to them. You have to upload as soon as you get them. So the counts are steadily rising. By 11:59, you have a good idea which way it's going to go, because we have to submit an 11:59 report as well. That's basically when all the precincts are closed and most of the counting is done.
He answered it better than I could.
All right, well, very good. Well, we appreciate each of you all joining us. We're getting short on time, but we've got about 20 seconds. Final words from either one of you?
Volunteers, please come out and volunteer. Poll workers, September 21st down in Peach County, I will be holding an open invitation for all poll workers that want to come in with the poll worker training. We start at 11 a.m. We'll be done by 1 p.m. I also have open applications as well, so please come in and volunteer.
And Thomas?
Yes, indeed. If you're not registered, please do so. If you are registered, please vote. And everyone should take a chance to become a poll worker at least once in their life.
Well, there you go. Well, early voting, once again, starting on October the 15th for each of these counties, and you can vote in person November 5th.